Stutter, my brother, what's happening?
Hey, fantasy, this session, we talking touchdowns, receptions, interceptions. They got a ban the kicker, we need that correction. Swap them out, we flexing. How many of y'all you collect? We trying to get that winning record. Fantasy,
And we back.
What it is, hope it is what it should be. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy in Session, the podcast. Today is May 29th. Give a special shout out to my little sisters. It's their birthday today. And the culture pushers are here. And like always, if you're listening to this on whatever platform you're listening to this on, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, give us a comment.
We appreciate
you. Make sure you check out the merch on the website, FFN Session, and the latest rankings from all three of us. We got a special one for y'all today, guys.
Whoa. Gabe, come on, man. How can you forget your baby? The YouTube channel.
I did. I said YouTube.
You said all that.
Okay, sorry.
You're not even listening. I'm ahead of you. It's 2020 vision over here.
Man, listen.
Yes, sir. We got a special one for y'all today, baby. How y'all feeling, boys?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Feeling great, actually, man. It's like,
I'm about to say good. Is that all? That's all you got for this?
What's really happening?
Right.
Is happening out the bag, or what you gonna do?
You said what?
You gonna let the cat out the bag, or you gonna give it a little time?
We're gonna give it a little time.
Right. Just say I woke up looking at a DM, was like, oh, wait a minute.
Just let y'all know, in a couple minutes, your mind will be blown, as ours was when we got this message. All right, guys, I can't wait any longer. We have to bring on this guest. This is a special guest. This is a guy that when I first started playing fantasy football, I don't know if he remembers, but I used to email him back when he was at PFF getting fantasy advice. So it is truly an honor to have what I deem a fantasy legend, none other than Mike Clay. Welcome to the podcast, Mike Clay. How you doing?
Oh, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. It's weird that you say legend, which is a gross exaggeration, but it makes me feel old, so I appreciate that. For sure.
Nah, just very, very wise when it comes to fantasy.
You started up as a youngster.
Yeah, you changed my whole outlook when it comes to like fantasy, man. Like, look at just how to like approach the game. Like, I haven't even heard about regression before I started following you. So I wouldn't even be here if you're a big part of me even trying to become a fantasy analyst. So this is definitely an honor to have you on, man.
I appreciate that. That's good to hear, and it's a great time right now. Just so many people getting into fantasy in a variety of different ways, especially on you mentioned regression, certainly in the analytics department, and kind of making us all smarter. Like back when I started at PFF, we had all this data coming in, right? PFF was so new, and they were just charting game after game, player after player, and no one was really utilizing it. And luckily, I had that, was able to learn a lot of things kind of before it was mainstream. But now there's actual smart people in the industry using that information and making us smarter. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, they all my podcast host knows me as the analytics guy. I'm the one that's super huge on analytics. So trying to bring him around.
It took me a while. It took me a while because I'm really I have to see it on film, Then Carlos just beat it over your head so much. I listen to him.
Hard to argue with analytics, man. But if you don't mind, man, can you just tell us a little bit about your journey to how you ended up on ESPN?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been into sports. I've been a sports nerd my whole life. I've had notebooks with stats, which I still have to this day from when I was a little kid, just writing down stuff I saw on TV or on SportsCenter or whatever it is. So I've kind of always been into kind of, numbers and sports, and that followed with me my whole life, whether it was writing for my high school paper doing sports articles. I was the sports editor of my paper in college. I was a broadcaster then. Then I got a degree in accounting, so there's the numbers background, but kind of always had that itch to be in sports. So even when I was in accounting, I was doing football on the side, football analysis, started my own blog, got the gig actually started PFF Fantasy, and then within time got some attention from the people at ESPN, and just kind of worked hard, grinded away, offered something unique, and worked my way up to the worldwide leader. So it's been a grind for sure, but you always need a little bit of luck on the way as well, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great to hear, man. So as we all know, man, with fantasy football, one of the most exciting things about it is finding and identifying sleepers. So who is somebody that you think is being slept on right now, somebody that you can get super late in draft that could produce for your fantasy team?
Yeah, and there's always, there's always a lot of ways you can go with this. I could say someone like Deshaun Jackson, for example, who played one healthy game last year and absolutely lit it up. He might be the number one receiver for the Eagles this year. He very well could. A super high volume offense. It's probably going to be above average in scoring, throw the ball plenty. So, he's going, I think, in the latest high stakes leagues is going in the 13th round. So I like that one a lot. But I have to go to my guy, Zach Moss, rookie mid-round, but day 2 pick. I think he might have gone earlier than the 3rd round had he not struggled in the 40-yard dash. Reportedly, he had an injury while running that. But, man, I love this guy. He just follows right in the footsteps of guys like Kareem Hunt and Chris Carson and Jordan Howard, of guys who are just extremely elusive and excellent tackle breakers. In fact, his resume might be better than some of those guys. If you look at the fact that last year he was 2nd best in this rookie class in yards after contact and in forced missed tackles. And he did it the year before too. So it's not just kind of a 1-year fluke. So love this guy. He has the size to be a workhorse in the NFL. He can catch the football. He's a little over 220 pounds. You worry about the long speed a little bit, but I don't think that will matter when you have balance and tackle breaking and elusiveness like Zach Moss. So Devin Singletary's there in Buffalo as well, but would not surprise me at all if, a lot like a Carson or a Howard or a Hunt, this Moss emerges into one of the better backs in the NFL.
How do you see that split going, though, between the two? Well, between the three, really, because, you got the great white hope, Josh Allen, down there taking all the touchdowns on the goal line.
Yeah, he most certainly is. In fact, I only have Devin Singletary projected for 3 touchdowns, and a lot of people have kind of raised their eyebrow at that. But, he had 2 last year. And, now you have Zach Moss, who should play more than Frank Gore did. Josh Allen's going to keep running, as you mentioned, at the goal line. So I don't think he's going to get very many carries inside the 5 or perhaps even 10-yard line for Singletary. That being said, you have to hedge a little bit on day 2 picks, right? I mean, we haven't seen a lot of rookie season success from day 2 picks over the past decade. It just hasn't been there. Might seem like it because of a few exceptions, like a Nick Chubb or a Miles Sanders or an Alvin Kamara, but David Johnson is another one. But it's a short list, after that. A lot of those guys don't pan out. So I do have Singletary with about 30 more carries than Moss and about 20 more catches. But that still allows Moss to put up, about 120 fantasy points. It certainly puts him in the flex conversation some weeks. But again, would it surprise me at all if Moss just proved to be the better back and took control there and Singletary was more the change of pace back? Not at all, just because I think that he has a very high ceiling. So if you're looking at a sleeper in the double-digit rounds, Moss is a good place to look.
That is going to crush a lot of fantasy, Devin Singletary truthers, dreams.
Definitely. And I was super high on Zach Moss as well. For a lot of the same reasons you just named. I kind of felt like he took a hit when he went to Buffalo with Devin Singletary. But like you said, it is going to be a split out there. And if he gets that goal line work, man, he definitely could outplay that ADP. So I definitely agree with that, man. You got anything, Javar, to say? Or?
Nah, I agree with it. I like Moss once they said he's going to take over the Frank Gore role. And they also said they see Frank Gore as a 3-down back, which kind of moves Singletary back a little bit once they framed this rookie who they just drafted as a 3-down back. And when you put on the film, he is a dog, and I just love him. And then a good offense like that that's going to run the ball, there should be a lot of rushes in that offense with that good defense stopping people. So it's going to be a lot of opportunities, and he should be, like Mike Clay said, a good flex play. Some running back 2 weeks.
Definitely, I dig it, man. So one more thing before we let you go, Mike. So as you know, we're considered amateur analysts. We're still trying to make a name for ourselves. So for everybody else out there that's trying to make a name for themselves, what is one advice that you would give to somebody that's trying to make a name for themselves in the fantasy industry?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mentioned earlier, and it's a really good question. Grinding away. You have to be married to football, I think, to really make it this far. I'm a bit of a workaholic when it comes to football. I'm just constantly updating, working, tweaking, adjusting to every. If I see a transaction of a fullback, that adjusts my model a little bit. I'm going to plug him in and do some research to see if he's going to be a factor. Are they going to throw to that fullback that could take away targets from another guy? So you might not have to get that tedious with it, but you certainly have to stay on top of this and really understand the game. By following news and researching constantly. But the other thing would be is to be unique. Find something that separates you. What do you love about the game? What can you do that separates yourself? Is it grinding the film? Is it grinding the numbers? Is it maybe you're just really an offensive lineman and you think, you know what, I'm going to dive in full on to offensive lineman. I'm going to become the expert on offensive line. I'm going to put out rankings, analysis, predictions, and people are going to go to me and use that offensive line information to kind of adjust their fantasy rankings. So just find something you love. Make sure you like it too. Don't feel like, I don't want to do offensive line, but I guess I'll do it to someone else's. Make sure you're passionate about that thing, that part of the game, and really dive into it. If you do that, you're going to enjoy your job. You're going to separate yourself. You're going to be unique, and you're going to find yourself with followers.
Yes, sir. Like it, man. So that, I guess that means I don't have to watch film anymore, guys. I'm just going to do straight analytics from now on out. Mike Clay said I can do that, so that's what I'm going to do.
Hey, there's a place for everything, and certainly film and analytics have. It feels like they butt heads, but that's because of people decide that they need to butt heads. They really don't. There's a place for both of them. They're both important, but there's also people out there that are doing a great job. Studying the film, and you can learn from that. You can follow what they're saying, listen to what they're saying, read their scouting reports, and then do your part and do the analytics. There's just too much. I mean, there's so much you can do, so many avenues, so many things you could study. You can't do every single thing, so you have to find some people that you could rely on in certain areas too.
Definitely. Well, all right, Mike, man. It's like again, man. It's been an honor to talk to you, to pick your brain about fantasy, man. Like I said, I've been following you for so long, man. It's just really like a dream come true. So, thank you so much, man. And good luck this year. Yeah,
you too. Anytime, fellas. Good luck with the show, and let's do it again.
Are you in the Scott Fish Bowl?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. I actually won the original Scott Fish Bowl league way back in the day. So
what year was that? When did he start it?
That's a good question. I want to say like 7 or 8 years ago. I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but it was in that window.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know Scott Fish like that, but if you could put in a good word for your boys, man, that would be so awesome.
Yeah, you gotta let him know. He's sending out posts out there on social to sign up for it, to let him know you want to be in. So hop in there.
We refreshing our email every day. We're waiting.
All right, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Mike Clay. I'll see you tomorrow on ESPN.
All right, sounds good, fellas.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right, take care.
Yes, sir.
Hey, gunshots.
There you have it, man. The legend. It's two goats that I fuck with in the fantasy industry, man. Mike Clay is one, and Mike Tagliere is the other one, man. So we got one of the goats on. Maybe we can get the other one on. We'll see, man. We'll see,
man. Let's just see.
Hashtag join the session, baby.
Yes, sir.
Hey, great.
More gunshots.
Gunshots for the session.
More. Hey, that's it.
Let's get into the rest of the sleepers. Los, who you got as one of your sleepers coming into this year?
Zach Moss. No, I'm just playing. All right. So my guy that I'm gonna go with, this is a running back. He's currently going in the 13th round and the back of the 13th at 13-10 and half PPR scoring. His name is Boston Scott, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. So while Miles Sanders is getting a lot of the offseason hype, which he very well should because he is a beast, he's very talented. He went off down the stretch last year. Very quietly, Boston Scott also beasted down the stretch. So from weeks 14 through 17, he averaged 16 opportunities a game, 6 receptions, 88 all-purpose yards, a touchdown, and 17.6 points per game in half PPR. He was the 9th highest scoring running back in that span. His 16-game pace with those numbers, I was so blown away when I saw this. 252 opportunities, 92 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 16 touchdowns. Now, I'm not saying that is likely going to take place. In fact, I'll say that's probably unlikely to take place. But that just gives you an idea of how much he was used. Miles Sanders averaged 21 touches a game in that span, and Boston Scott was right behind him. We all know that this is a committee-type backfield, so it very well will still be a committee next year. Just a few other numbers. He was 5th in yards after contact per reception, 8th in points per touch, and 3rd among running backs in yards per route run. So you bring all those stats together with the fact that Philly didn't bring in any notable names during the draft or free agency. So that's leaving all the work for Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. You do have Michael Warren as an undrafted free agent. But I believe he's more of like a handcuff to Miles Sanders. I believe even if if Miles Sanders gets hurt, then Boston Scott's role will be secure. And the last thing I would say about that is Philly ran the most plays last year. So even though Miles Sanders is expected to lead the backfield and get most of the work, it's still plenty of meat on the bone for Boston Scott to flourish as well. So my sleeper guy is Boston Scott going in round 13. Get him round 12, so make sure you get him, and you have a very worthy flex play. Maybe.
So is Philadelphia going to be a running team, or are they going to be a passing team? Because I just heard people say they're going to throw the ball all around. I just heard Deshaun Jackson's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. I don't agree.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, even if that's the case, Boston Scott got most of his value out of the backfield. He had 25 targets. He caught 23 of them. And like I said, he was 3rd among running backs in yards per route run and 5th among running backs in yards after contact per reception. So I'm not expecting him to get most of his value out of the running game. I'm expecting him to get most of his value out of the passing game. But a little bit.
When I see the Eagles, I just see more so. When I see the Eagles, I just see more so opportunity from the players around them. It's a high-flying offense, and they should be scoring. So therefore, there's going to be opportunities for everybody to go around, for multiple players to eat in that high-octane offense. And to go along, they lost a lot of names on their defense, so their defense was already depleted. It should be depleted even more, so they're going to have to score to win. So I like it.
Yes, sir. So I think we all in agreement.
Buy with confidence.
What, we agree on something? Wait a minute.
I would buy with confidence, yeah.
Everybody take note, because this doesn't happen a lot.
Right, Gabe.
Sometimes I just be arguing just to argue. But my sleeper pick this year is going to be Preston Williams. Last year, Devontae Parker took 5 years and a little Fitz magic just to break out, and the whole world is now focusing on him. They should, because he did get the money. I couldn't think of a word right there. My bad. But most forget about the boy Preston Williams, who before he tore his ACL was top 20 in targets. Through 9 weeks, he had 59, tied for 3rd in red zone targets, tied for 5th in end zone targets. He was averaging, 7 targets and 53 yards a game during that span. And if we take the numbers through a 16 game, if we stretch the numbers out to a 16 game season, he would end up roughly with 118 targets, 64 receptions, 856 yards, and about 6 touchdowns. This is all stats from my boy, courtesy of Carlos. You can catch this at and you can catch news just like that at ffnsession.com. But with that being said, though, you can get Preston Williams a full 4 rounds earlier than Devontae Parker right now. I looked it up. Devontae Parker is going, I think it was 7.5, and Preston Williams is going at 11.10 right now. That's according to Fantasy Football Calculator. And I just think of Preston Williams, while Devontae Parker was on the field, led him in targets and receptions. So I think that he is the value out there. I think he can end up being the number 1 wide receiver in Miami, especially if Tua takes over. I think the offense could end up being a lot more explosive, and you can get a cheaper Devontae Parker right now in the 11th round.
Facts, man. I'm trying to get Preston Williams in all my leagues, bro, because like you said, he put up around the same numbers as Devontae Parker in his time, in the 8 games that he played. And he's going 4 rounds after him. You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me of
5, because he's going at the back of the 11.
Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of that DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel feel. Curtis Samuel didn't, quite work out as people thought.
Whoa.
we're still going to keep, following that same process. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, just because it didn't work last year doesn't mean it can't work this year. And Preston Williams definitely proved that he's legit. So,
got to follow the process.
I think we agree again.
Buy with confidence.
That's another one. That's two. Let's see what Javar got. Javar going to come with something that's just going to mess it all up.
Oh, shit.
What you got?
All right, so I got with what fantasy.
Kobe Myers.
Who you got?
I got what people was called an unsexy pick here.
Le'Veon Bell.
Jamison Crowder.
Jamison Crowder.
Jamison Crowder. So in 2019, James Crowder had 122 targets, 78 receptions, 183 yards. He had 10.7 yards per catch and 6 touchdowns. In the years between 2016 and 2017, when he went to Kirk Cousins, the dump-off king, who I like to call, he had around 100 targets per year, 67 catches, 800 yards, 12 yards per catch. And then he had 3 touchdowns one year and 7 touchdowns the next year. So those are pretty good stats from a 5-year player who's going into his 6th year and still young and going into an offense that should be playing from behind a lot. Now, last year, things got off to a rocky start as Sam Darnold went out with the mono, and it was basically a wrap for their whole offense. But then on the bright side, this team went 6-2 at the end of the season, even though they played a lot of teams that really won't push the needle or anything. But there's still good morale for the team. But with those numbers that Crowder finished with in the first season with the Jets, he led the team in reception, targets, yards, and TDs. He was targeted 7.6 times per game, which is 24th among all wide receiver. But he wasn't exactly efficient last year with those targets. He never gained over 100 yards in a game, and it was not clear if he has solid chemistry with Sam Darnold yet. The team has Chris Herndon, who is basically in a position battle to beat out a 30-year-old tight end. They made some adjustments to the O-line and brought in Rashad Perriman, Denzel Mims, who I believe are not huge threats to Crowder targets in 2020. It's okay to believe in Mims and Herndon and Perriman, but it's okay to believe these guys could become Donald's new favorite target. But due to COVID-19, rookies and free agent receivers won't get the normal opportunity to build chemistry with their QBs, therefore giving players as Crowder the upper hand in the offense. Crowder has an ADP in half PPR leagues that is around wide receiver 49. He will outplay his ADP. Last year, he finished at wide receiver 31 in half PPR leagues, and he should be a great flex with upside for most weeks in 2020. You heard it from me. Now go get that value. Y'all don't like that? No?
Buy with confidence.
I like it.
I like it. I wasn't really on it until you brought up the point of, free agents and rookies not really having that off-season program to build up that chemistry. So at least in the beginning of the year, whenever the year does start, that Jamison Crowder might just be the most targeted receiver on that team because he's the only guy that has him and Herndon. Well, not even Herndon because Herndon didn't even play last year. So he's the only guy that really has that rapport with Darnold already. So I wouldn't be surprised. Now, you brought a good point up. I can't even flex, bro.
And I know you love stats, Carlos. So I got another stat for you. And we talk so bad about Adam Gase, but Adam Gase loves himself a high-volume slot receiver. It's dating back to 2013 when he had Wes Welker for a couple of years. Then he had Eddie Royal. Then we know Jarvis Landry for a couple of years. And now he got Crowder. So
who was that first receiver he had? I missed it.
Wes Welker in 2013.
Okay.
That ain't what he said.
He's making sure. I'm about to say, I ain't never heard of him. I had a finger radio on the button, boy. Might have been a big old ant.
But I like Jamison Crowder, especially like in the beginning of the year, like you said, Carlos.
Yeah,
you already know Sam Darnold.
Man, like, you probably can't expect touchdowns from him, but just the sheer volume that he's expected to get, man, like he definitely should help your team out as at least a flex play. So
at minimum,
right. And great depth play. It's all about depth, and like I feel like round 11, after 11 and 12, it's just kind of It's all about some good depth play. People gonna see targets. And before we end, I know y'all got another player just to say a name who you think is a sleeper. I like slot players,
but I don't want to because this guy can also be called a second-year breakout player. So I'm gonna save it for the next.
Oh, nice.
Okay. I got one. I like Russell Gage.
Russell Gage, yeah, I like him too.
Go ahead.
I like Golden Tate. It was between Golden Tate and Jamison Crowder. I love them late slot guys. Golden Tate is in line for a lot of targets too.
If I had to pick between those two, I would go with Russell Gage just for the fact that I heard this on one of the episodes of The Footballers, and they brought up a good point that Atlanta has the most vacated targets in the whole league. Mm-hmm. So, with Austin Hooper gone, you got Freeman gone, you got Mohamed Sanu that left, at the end of last year. So with all those targets being out there, he definitely could have a nice piece of the pie.
And they only brought Laquan Treadwell in, and I don't believe in him.
Not at all.
Oh, man. So I need 3 days before we drop this pod so I can sit out some trades to a couple of people before they listen to this.
Yeah.
But, man, I think that's about it, man. That's a great episode.
Great episode, guys. Round of applause for us. And for the culture. Yeah.
Unless y'all got anything else, man, that's all I got.
That's it, man.
Hey, man, thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for supporting the brand. Make sure y'all go subscribe. If it's your first time listening to us, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend.
And one more time, thanks to Mike Clay, the legend, for blessing us with his presence and giving us some fantasy football knowledge, man.
Yes, sir.
One more round of applause for him.
All right, man. We out of here, man. Jump out, yo. Peace.